Hello, my name is Beth Domkowski, and I'm coming to you from the Office of Admissions at Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey. Welcome to Rowan Confidential. I am joined today by Kevin George. Kevin George is a proud husband and father of 3 daughters, ages 8, 5, and 11 months. He is blessed that Rowan is his first employer out of graduate school. Completed his undergraduate degree at Robert Morris University, and it is a BS in sports management. Attended graduate school at University of Florida and achieved a Master of Science in Sports Management. And was hired as the Assistant Director for Intramural Sports and Facilities in 2004, but was promoted to Director of Campus Recreation in 2016. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you.
Happy to be here?
Wonderful. I'm excited.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you so much for coming and speaking with us today about what you do, about campus recreation, and everything that entails.
Oh, I'm excited for this again.
I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to start at the beginning. What wakes you up in the morning? What's your inspiration or passion or driving force as it relates to your work at Rowan?
Yeah, I think I'm very fortunate and privileged to have the opportunity to make a change in the lives of individuals on our campus, including students and employees. And so not taking that for granted that each day that I'm in a environment where I'm supported and having resources and availability to do that. And so we're really excited that campus recreation has the opportunity to impact the lives of individuals, especially with their health and well-being. But we want to make sure we're outside of campus recreation, having the mindset that outside of our walls when we're walking to another building, just minimal things like making eye contact and smiling or initiating conversations and asking how people are. I think that's a driving force of just making this a community for people to feel like they belong. And we know that's super important for transfers and freshmen. And so we want to make sure that we exemplify kind of like our core values at the Rec Center, which is building relationships, service, student development, and building communities and service.
Great. So you've been here for a while, and it sounds like you've been in 2 different capacities here. You were Assistant Director of Intramural Sports and Facilities, and now you're the Director of All Campus Recreation. How has Rowan changed since you've been here, and how has recreation or our attitude toward recreation changed?
Well, it's been so exciting to be a part of Rowan University as a thriving university, being one of the fastest growing institutions. And when we doubled in enrollment, it also gave us some great opportunities, as I said, to impact the lives of other individuals that come onto our campus. And through campus recreation, our big philosophy is we want to make sure we're a welcoming and inclusive environment to all individuals. And the challenge that we have is that invisible barrier if it's only for the athletic and the fit. And we want to try to destigmatize that because we feel that by coming into our facility or participating in our programs, you can foster so many dimensions of your well-being. And we know that sometimes those out of the classroom experiences also really help with your academic success and your career readiness success. So we want to make sure we're very intentional that we do provide meaningful experiences, and that could be a very quick experience that could be 15, 20 minutes and making a friend by playing pickup basketball to getting a workout in, playing ping pong, or just kind of hanging out. And we know that building community is super important to us, and we hope that we can foster that through engagement in our facilities, but we also know we want to go to meet them where they are, and we're trying to be very intentional in trying to meet people where they always go and say, recreation is not just fitness and sweating and athletics. It can be more than that. It's just what you do in your free time, and hopefully we can promote healthy and recreational activities.
I remember the first time I went into a gym. I have to say I came to it very late in life. It wasn't until after college, or actually in college, that I started doing things. And I met with a trainer for the first time, and he said, you're looking around and you're looking at other people. He said, gyms exist and recreation exists because we are not all perfect and because we are not all fit. And he said, it's a process for everyone. It's your own well-being. And I just thought that was so interesting. That stuck with me because it really impacted my idea about what was capable through recreation. So how do you feel that you impact the world as the director of campus recreation?
Well, I think we also can react to our own situations that are positive and negative. And I think our mindset, we have about 200 student employees that are and part-time employees. And when we go over training, we really just talk about the little things make a huge difference. And having a genuine smile and greeting. And when people are leaving our doors, we say, "Hey, have a great day," and we truly mean that. And sometimes those little things can make a big difference in the lives of individuals. Saying, I didn't feel very good about myself, or I'm being stressed out, but I chose to walk through our doors to use our facilities. And a lot of times people feel better. And the studies show exercise correlates with positive psychology and feeling good and stress management. And sometimes when we're plummeting in our well-being, that we actually compromise the things that make us feel good, and or we use alternative, like unhealthy options, whether it's
Unhealthy options.
things that you shouldn't be doing because that's kind of a way for them to cope. But we know, coping in a negative way a lot of times comes back at you in a detrimental way. So I think with campus recreation, we offer a plethora of interests and opportunities for every student. And the challenge we have is that sometimes we only see students during orientation and mandatory things that are in our facility, and we just want to continue to just push for, there's something for you here. And if not, please engage with the campus somewhere else. Student activities, campus activities, Rowan after hours, get a student job. But the fantastic thing we just did is we ran a correlation study with our department on campus, and it showed that freshmen that come and participate in campus recreation programs, their retention rate is significantly higher than those that don't participate. So I think it was about 75% maybe aren't retained, or 80%, and those that come in our facilities is in the 90 percentile. So it just tells you, by participating in one of our programs or facilities, that maybe they'll connect with the campus and say, this is a place for me.
So if I'm a new student and I see the rec center, I've never really been inside. Maybe I went in during orientation and I'm thinking I want to walk in, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I get there, or I don't know how I'm going to be received, or the machines intimidate me. Everything intimidates me because I don't know what I'm doing. How would you advise me?
I would say we always try to tell our students, first of all, to get outside your comfort zone. And this is that real time to find out your authentic self and explore and find out what you connect to. And if you have the fortitude to come into our building and first of all walk in and be vulnerable, we also know students have their own mind games. Students think people are going to judge them on what they're wearing or how they're doing exercises, and we know people don't judge each other as often as you think they do. But once you come in, we want to make sure everything is accessible. Our main office assistants, which are our frontline staff, they're knowledgeable about pretty much anything and everything you need to know that could give you that opportunity to use your leisure and recreation time. So you might say, hey, I played a high school sport, I no longer play, but what do you have that's volleyball or soccer? And we can connect them to either playing informally and just pick up games, to intramural sports where students play against students, or a higher level, we have sport clubs where they compete and play against other schools. And then we also have obviously the fitness opportunities, the swimming pool. So we have a ton of things that hopefully students, as you said, maybe they never were into sports and recreation, but that doesn't in fitness, but maybe they can start.
So if I've never played a particular sport before, I can walk in and get the resources to do that, or you would point me in the right direction? What would that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you walk in, we are more than willing to always give a tour. You may have gotten a tour through the admissions process, but we always have somebody ready to go that would be willing to give you a tour and give you just basic information of where can you go, how can you access it, is there a small fee associated for a program. We also talk about our student employment opportunities, and then we have flyers, we have resources, we send out emails, and then as far as navigating interest, it's just trying to find out first of all what is their area of interest, and then finding out where we can guide them to a program or an event. And then we also are very open-minded. If students have an interest in something and it's recreation, fitness, sports related, we are more than willing to maybe try it out, maybe have a one-time event, formulate a new sport club. But we have 46 sport clubs now, various interests, recreational and competitive. So it could be a rock climbing, outdoor recreation trips, or it could be rugby and hockey and basketball where they play other schools. So we have a ton of opportunities for engagement.
So I've seen flyers around campus that say Rowan Thrive on them. What is Rowan Thrive?
Been really fortunate to really work on a campus culture of well-being and self-care. And we know that this generation not just the generation of students, even employees. It's just there's a lot going on with the screens and cell phones and instant gratification. And we want to make sure that we think holistically of what does self-care mean? And then once you're well, how you can help others that maybe aren't well. And I think our philosophy with Rowan Thrive is everybody's well-being is different. You all come from different places. And what we want you to do as the students and employees to recognize we have 6 dimensions of well-being. We have purpose, and a lot of people correlate purpose with career. We have physical well-being, not just exercise. That's getting proper sleep and what you put in your body. We have social. Social is a big one, especially for those incoming freshmen and transfers, is just making social connections.
Oh, absolutely.
Then we have community, and sometimes that's a bigger picture where it may be serving others or being a part of something bigger. We also have emotional well-being, and that's a big one right now. And the mental health crisis is on campus. Our philosophy with well-being and recognizing your dimensions of well-being is that you can be proactive with your well-being before you need maybe professional help. Or if you have professional help, taking medication before you come to Rowan, why would you change and stop? If it's helping you to do well and excel in things, continue to do that and connect with what resources you need at Rowan University. And the last one's financial. And we know the financial hurdles that a lot of students have. If they have loans out, that the return on investment in their education and outside the classroom experience is really important that they take advantage of those opportunities. And we know we get a student fee allocation that students have a gym membership, what we call. They say, oh, do I have to pay to come in the gym? No, that's part of your student fees. But some people never come in the doors and they don't have to pay extra for another gym membership.
So your title is Director of Campus Recreation. What is recreation? I mean, I think when people hear that, they think of sports, they think of the rec center, they think of working out, but that's not all it is. What falls under the purview of recreation?
The purview of recreation really is outside of your employment or your schooling and academics. So anything you do in your recreational time is not kind of falling under those categories of your employment. So for students, that could be your student job or that could be your classes. But for a full-time employee, that'll be anything outside of your work day. And we think that recreational opportunities and activities can really foster and help you. And a great example is, what do you need to be well? Well, I like to just, play the guitar once or twice a week, and that just makes me feel good. And listen to music and have coffee in the morning. And that's your recreation. That's your leisure time. And when you compromise that, usually when we're stressed out, that doesn't help you. It actually makes it worse that you're compromising something that you love to do. And some people, it's crazy. They want to tune into Eagles football, and that helps them thrive outside of, with their academics and stuff. So just recognize self-recognition of what that means, of what you're doing with your recreation and leisure time. And we also know that sometimes what you choose to do can also be detrimental. So constantly be on social media and seeing everyone's highlights and how that makes you feel. Sometimes it isn't good, that it's a filtered life. And so we just want to have real authentic opportunities for engagement, whether it's you want alone time or you want time with other people, and that can foster your well-being. So
you're the recreation expert. What do you do that you consider recreation?
Well, I think it would be terrible that I work in a recreation center and not work out. So I do my best to work out 3, maybe 4 times a week during my lunch break. But it's also my opportunity to also just see students. A great example is, it's kind of embarrassing, but it's okay, is that now we've grown to 200 student employees. I can't remember everyone's name, and that's okay. I actually approached a student with a different college's name on their shirt, and I just approached her and had her headphones on. Hey, did you go to that college? Did you transfer to Rowan? She said, yeah, no one knows this college name. I said, oh, I referee women's college basketball. I've refereed at that school. And I said, how's your transition to Rowan been? And she said, it's been great. And I said, oh, I want to introduce myself. I'm in workout attire. And I said, I'm the Kevin, the director. And she's like, oh, I know. I'm one of your employees. I'm a lifeguard and a swim instructor. And I'm like, my heart kind of dropped, but I said, it's okay. I went out of my comfort zone to approach a random student to make her feel good. And so those are those little opportunities, like the starfish story. Like, did I make a difference in the lives of these starfish or students by getting outside my comfort zone and approaching, and let them know that I care about them. And now I know that employee works for us, that I can now recognize that employee can continue to touch base and see how things are going.
So you might not know this, but I was actually one of your employees for a while as well. I taught indoor cycling a couple years ago. So those were very interesting classes. And it was such an experience to be able to work with the students in that capacity. A lot of times in admissions, we see the student when they come in and never see them again.
Yeah, and that's a great class too, because some people just need the motivation of a group and an instructor that's certified and play some great music. Like some people, that's how they get their workout, and they can't just come in on their own or with their friend and just exercise. They need that programming. The exercise, the cycling class is a great example. We have a ton of other things. Yoga is big right now just because
it
of all the
really?
stress going on. And sometimes, although there is definitely some physical well being, also that kind of spiritual, emotional connectedness. So that's a big class that we usually get a lot of people come and participate, whether that's the students or employees. But yeah, we're really appreciative of all of our instructors and our staff on our front lines that exemplify, like I said, building a community.
Classes are great because you show up, you listen to somebody, you do what they tell you, and by the time that you really get into it, it's over.
Yes.
And you've gotten your exercise, and you've gotten your, I call it my attitude adjustment.
Well, also too, some of our group fitness classes, and obviously in intramural sports teams and sport clubs, you build a tribe. Like sometimes you look forward to getting to know fellow participants in there, and you would have never met that person, whether it's a student or employee, without participating in that. So sometimes it does build your networks and also gives you somebody else that you can maybe rely on and build a friendship.
Oh, absolutely. Students outside of your major, people that you wouldn't have come in contact with in any other scenario on campus, other than you have this thing in common.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what would you say your proudest professional accomplishment is?
Last year, through our national association called NERSA, Leaders of Collegiate Recreation, our regional conference has a regional Service Excellence Award. And I was honored to be given that award last year. And they actually told me that I would have the opportunity to speak in front of them. It was really reflective. I was notified a couple months before the conference and just being humbled by that award, but really looking out and saying, well, how did I get there and who can I thank and be grateful for? So really a good reflective activity to say, well, it wasn't just me. You know, I did some things, but it's like who supported me, my mentors and my former supervisors. And then I also used that platform to really just talk about the mental health crisis and my own journey of well-being, because I've also had my own challenges as a male, a male of color. Sometimes our generation of males, you shouldn't disclose your feelings and it's a sign of weakness. And I actually, in front of 200 or 300 people, told my story of my own challenges in mental health. And I got a lot of emails and calls and in-person people that attended the session said that that was fantastic. It really resonated with me. I had my own struggles and issues. And I think that's one of the things when we talk about well-being is that our employees never show vulnerability or stress because they don't think that's something they want to show to their students or their fellow employees. But I think that makes people real, and that we all have our ups and downs, and we want to celebrate our ups and be in the moment. I read an article or a TED Talk about how our mind wanders whenever we're at our highest moment, that we're thinking of something else instead of enjoying the moment because of all of our multitasking. And then when we're plummeting and we're not doing well, I had to learn the hard way that maybe you need to talk to somebody, maybe consider medication. Do you have real conversations with those that are close to you, and be vulnerable about that? And like I said, I learned the hard way. And I think even by sharing my own story, if that helps anybody, like I said, making a difference in the lives of individuals, I was very fortunate to have a platform to tell 200 or 300 people my story and struggles so they maybe can help in their own journey of life.
It really is amazing how we're all pretty much the same. We're dealing with all the same issues. And, you know, if I have a concern and I decide to talk about it, there's probably somebody else that can give me advice or is going through the same thing. I think it's great that you provide a venue for students to share in this way.
The challenge we always have, though, is whenever we had some real deep, meaningful conversations, even with our staff, some people are worried when they disclose something that's maybe could be perceived, they think it's going to come back at them and say, well, they'll hold it against them.
Yeah.
And same thing when we talk about people that don't really judge, you think they're going to judge. 99% of people would not use something against you if you're willing to disclose something. It's just that feeling that who's going to use this against me? So that's just, as a society, we're very keep it close to ourselves. Mm-hmm. But when you see people willing to say, you know what, I've had trouble having a baby, or we lost a baby, or divorce, and you can truly be empathetic to people when they're willing to be a little bit vulnerable and share, their journey of life, and other people can say, wow, just like me.
Just like me. So You have a lot of students coming in every year. How would you advise the parents of an incoming student that working at the rec center or being involved with recreation is worthwhile? Because a parent might think that is time that's being taken away from their studies, or that it's superfluous to their mission as a student. How would you address that?
Well, first of all, we know this generation of college students are more sedentary. It is what it is. And we have the research that shows that students that are participating in campus recreation have higher GPAs than the campus average.
Really?
So just in general, those that participate, for some reason, they have a little bit of a higher GPA. We talked about the retention rate earlier. I would say for general usage in recreation, just like I said, various studies show that your focus and your stress relief and all those rich things that can be the after effect of recreation and participation correlates to being better overall, whether it's your academics or your other jobs that you're participating in. So it's just the various studies say that it's supposed to be 150 minutes a week, and we know a ton of people don't get that, employees and students. And so just it's that return on investment and convincing them, say, try it out, stick it out, then you'll just see how it makes you feel. Like I said, make people feel good. Then as far as our student employment opportunities, I think we really want to push out that we have about 200 employees. Only about 20 or 30 of them are anything related to recreation as far as studies go, exercise, science, or physical education. And we really exemplify that, you know what, you're going to learn a ton of career readiness and employability skills through working for us. I'm sorry, you're not going to sit in front of a computer and doing your homework and get paid for it. We're going to teach you customer service, working as a team, communication skills, dealing with difficult situations, problem solving, all these great, rich skills that employers are looking for. A best story I ever heard was from an engineering student. He got a job at Lockheed Martin. He was a student supervisor for sport clubs. He said 80% of my interview to get the job at Lockheed Martin was stuff I learned from campus rec.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah. So that really told me. So when we have our orientations with parents and we mention student employment, I always try to share that story and say, you know what? You don't have to be a sports or exercise science major. We want to work with you. We're going to work around your class schedule. We'll be cognizant of your other opportunities and be respectful. But when you work, we're going to make you work, and you're going to learn some great soft skills.
So I'm going to wrap it up and ask you one last question. Why Rowan? Why Rowan for you? Why Rowan for students? Why are you here?
Oh, I think for Rowan, it's so funny that Rowan was not on my radar when I was graduating from the University of Florida. I was thinking of University of Florida and Alabama. And then luckily, one of the graduate assistants I work with in rec sports was the kicker for the Rowan football team in his undergrad. And he just raved about how great Rowan was as a community, like a family. And he mentioned recreation, just saying, wow, this is just such a supportive, student development friendly environment. So when I saw that job was posted and I got the job, he was completely right. And I just jumped right in and went in head first. And since then, I thought it would be a couple years stopover to what I thought was bigger and better. And I've had so many growth opportunities here, learning about myself, learning about what I want to exemplify as an assistant director and now as a director. And like I said, looking big picture and saying globally, like, by making the difference in the lives of individuals now, they can be a great contributing member to society and build their own communities and just embed well-being and self-care and what a thriving environment is versus a toxic environment. And we know some things are under our control of how we react, and some things, maybe you leave a place that isn't kind of meeting your needs as far as fostering well-being. But Rowan's been fantastic for me. I'm a proponent of positive change, and Rowan's been changing quite a bit since 2004. And I say, well, I'm on the boat, and I know some things I may disagree with, but I'm going to nod my head, and I'm going to still also just focus on spreading health and well-being on the campus. And I'm going to try to do that in any way possible.
Kevin, thank you so much for coming and talking to us today. You have truly been inspirational. Thank you for listening. This is Rowan Confidential.